We're going to do this by list, alphabetic order, and ruler status, just like that. So you guys can start at Bao Xin and then just follow down. This is going to be two parts, because it's a long list. Anti-Dongzhuo Coalition's got 24 rulers. So we're going to do 12 and 12. Okay, I've got my tools here. Back in the day, back in the last century, my caveman tools from the last century. Okay guys, so our first ruler on this list, 190 anti-coalition, Bao Xin. All we did for Bao Xin, we gave him +5 leadership. Really, there's nothing else to change for him. You know, you don't need to change anything. He has composed traits, unyielding, perfect marriage of theme and mechanic right there. Okay, unyielding increases attack power the closer you are to getting wiped out. Composed makes it so that you're not affected by instigate. Your morale is not lowered by it. This is the guy who was his biggest moment in the novels was when he charged into the Queen Yellow Turbans. That was his big moment. Like he was a famous commander of the anti-Dongzhuo Coalition, and of all the generic guys, the guys who don't really get much time in the novels, he is the best one. You know, like I said, his biggest moment is just charging in and getting wiped out, going down fighting the Turbans. So his traits are fine. The only thing, like I said, give him +5 leadership, get him a little bit more rounded out. Easy, Bao Xin. Next one. Okay, this was a tough one. Cao Cao. Okay, Cao Cao's already good. What we did with Cao Cao's rework, to summarize it, okay, is to lean on the crafty hero moniker of Cao Cao. You know, a guy who is, when it comes to, his abilities are great, and when it comes to warfare, he is crafty. You know, he can do a little bit of everything, right? So, in the PUK, they gave him playfulness, which is an absolute wasted slot for Cao Cao. It makes it easier for him to train or something. We don't want that. We gave him composed instead. Composed, just like Bao Xin, whenever you're hit with instigate, your morale cannot go down. Ignores instigate. Cao Cao cannot be shook. Okay? Complete opposite of Liu Bu, which is great. Liu Bu is affected, short-tempered. Cao Cao is the complete opposite. He is composed. This guy is unfazed. You cannot lower his morale. Very important, because when we look at the abilities tab, this guy's just loaded with abilities, right? So the idea that you can't just run up to this guy and hit him with instigate and say, I'm just going to keep him down with instigate so he can't do anything, can't do all his insane tricks. He's got that protection now. He's got that protection. So for me, that's the best pairing with him. Now, going into his abilities and stuff, there is a lot of stuff that I edited with him. So let me look at my my notes here, and I'll take you guys through it. Basically, what we did is, well, you know what? Let's just read them off. So we gave him, starting with infantry and going down, -1 hard strike, -1 berserk. We took off spear wall. -1 flurry, -1 charge. So 1 off these blocks. -1 volley, -1 scatter shot. And we gave him 1 in infighting. So we took away spear wall, and we gave Cao Cao infighting instead. Okay, to lean more into the scheming, the crafty hero, right? We also took off his brute strength. Cao Cao has brute strength, I think, at level 2, and he has resolute starting at level 2. We took that down to 1, and we took brute strength off completely. This part right here, him being a pretty good duelist, considering his wars at 73 plus the 7-star sword. If you give him an item, he can be at 80. That's more to fill the power fantasy. That's Koei being like, well, let's have him do everything because the player's going to play as him. So let's just let him do everything, right? That's a little too much. He doesn't need that. We want him to have a bodyguard, or at least one little thing that Cao Cao did worry about in the novel was having a strong bodyguard. Dian Wei, blah, 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 for good reasons. This guy's no duelist, okay? This guy's no duelist, all right? So Those are the changes for Cao Cao. We basically took off one off of the skills, the attack skills, and we gave him one in infighting. Okay, and I think I don't know if he had Revelation before or not. I don't have it written down, so I'm assuming he had Revelation before. But all we're doing is leaning into his crafty hero. That's all we're leaning into, that moniker. You could edit him based on the era, and I actually wrote that down. So I was thinking you could do early era Cao Cao, and his second trait, you could do wealthy or farsighted. And then you could do mid-era Cao Cao. When he's got the Emperor, 196, give him a royal assistant instead, depending on when you're playing. And if you're playing Cao Cao in the late period, give him either arrogant or prideful. If you want to have a significant drawback, give him prideful. That's like post Chibi, or before, right before Chibi, 207. Right, so Cao Cao is one of those guys. He's around forever. You could change him slightly based on the era. Okay, but that's the biggest rework I think I had. Rework, Cao Cao, Big D, Dong Zhuo. Pretty straightforward rework for him. I think he had, I don't know what he had for his second trait. I don't know if I have it written down here. I think it was arrogant. So we had arrogant written down for Dong Zhuo. Doesn't reflect the battlefield. Instead, we gave him short temper, just like Liu Bu. Dong Zhuo is the type of character that has so many faults, right? The villain, right? After worse than Zheng Jiao, honestly. He is the villain. Especially in the coalition era, 190, that's prime time. So instead of arrogant, we gave him short temper because it's something that reflects on the battlefield. Target him with instigate. Maybe you can confuse him. The guy's well known for his temper, explosive guy, to say the least, in the novelization. How many banquets did this guy just kill people just because he lost his temper? So short tempered there. And then for his abilities here, we took one off of Heart Strike, one off of Infantry, one off of Archery. So one off of here, one off of Infantry, one off of Archery. We basically made Dong Zhuo lean more towards his Ziliang, his nomadic cavalry roots, where he came from before he entered the capital. So we're just taking off the infantry stuff, the archery stuff, like making him more single-minded. That's Dong Zhuo. Pretty easy change. Nothing too crazy. Okay, next one. Gongsun Du. Gongsun Du, pretty straightforward. I think they gave him Veracity. What Veracity does is it negates the effect of loyalty if you break an alliance. But you know that Gongsun Du is stuck all the way up there in the corner. There's no alliances. He's not exactly going to be wheeling and dealing all the way up there in the corner. So instead of Veracity, we gave him Northern Horsemanship. He should have something, just like Gongsun Zan, that acknowledges that he had to mainly fight on horseback up there. Northern Horsemanship gives you a buff if you're using Nomadic Cavalry. I don't know if Gongsun Du starts with Nomadic Cavalry. I know Gongsun Zan does. We have the editing tool now, so if you start a game up as him, just give yourself Nomadic Cavalry. He should have it. He should have it. In case he does it, give yourself Nomadic Cavalry so you can take advantage of this trait. We also gave him +6 leadership, +7 intelligence. His leadership's up to 78. Intelligence is up to 70. Nothing too crazy, but this was a guy who had to deal with a lot of nonsense up in his corner. That's why he just kind of bowed down to whoever had the Han Emperor, because he had his hands full, even though it's not touched on too much in the novelization. Being up in northern China, bordering Mongolia, and towards the right, I forgot what tribes were around there. Anyway, he shouldn't be quite as bad as he is. Gongsun Du, in my mind, should always be close to like 80 leadership, at least to start. So that's Gongsun Du, 78 leadership, 70 intelligence, northern horsemanship. No ability changes, nothing like that. Now the next one, Gongsun Zan. So Gongsun Zan has Onslaught added in the PUK. Increases your horse unit's attack power by 30. Instead of that, we gave him Northern Horsemanship. Why? Because that's a straight buff for him. His faction starts with Northern Horsemanship already. You can already use Nomadic Cavalry. So Nomadic Cavalry gives you +40 attack and defense. So it's just a straight buff for him. Instead of just getting +30 because you're attacking Onslaught, you get +40 attack and defense. He's always going to be fielded with horse units anyway. It's also going to stack with horse control, so he's getting plus 90 defense. You could give him something like defensive general. There's that defensive trait, but that's only 30 points. It's you know what I mean? It's not enough. We have unyielding as well. You know, his last stand at the fort against Yuan Shao. Again, we only have 2 trade slots. It's not Romance 14, okay? It's not Romance 14. We don't have 5 trade slots. If we did, we could really, you know... If anybody wants to see Romance 14, let me know. I'm told that, like, nobody plays Romance 14, but whenever I do a stream of Romance 14, I mean, my numbers are pretty good. Like, I get the same amount of people. You know what I mean? So... I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments. Romance 14 and rework? I don't know. Maybe in the future. Anyway, Northern Horsemanship. And all I gave him for his skills, a single rouse. So he can get his morale up himself. He's got inspiring, but he has no rouse. He should have at least 1 block of rousing. He does have a moment in the novels where he inspires his troops when he's fighting Yuan Shao. So, that's Gongsun Zan. The next character, Han Fu. Good old Han Fu. Love Han Fu on this channel. He already has Cowardly. He didn't get a second trait, but I gave him a second trait in this game. We gave him Flustered to pair with Cowardly. What can I say about Han Fu? Yes, he has no abilities, and his stats are terrible, and now he has an even worse trait to pair with Cowardly. But the Han Fu buffs are real, okay, in Romance 8. The Han Fu buffs are real. Believe it. Okay, we experienced it. Flustered is not going to keep this guy down. Okay, love Han Fu. Okay, next ruler in the coalition, and this guy persists for a little while. He Yi. He Yi leads the faction of Yellow Turbans that was still kind of around in the area, the Qing area. The only thing I gave He Yi was Magnetic to pair with Yellow Sky so that he could feel slightly larger, like a slightly larger army. So Magnetic increases your cap by 2,000 so you can command a little bit more troops. And that's just to kind of capture the feeling that this guy can kind of drop a big blob, you know, a big horde unit on the field when you go to fight him. Because he's just rallying whatever's left of the Yellow Turbans there. I honestly didn't know what else to give He Yi. You know, he's just, some of these guys just kind of fall through the cracks. They don't have enough time in the novels. They don't, Digits stand out enough. There's nothing to really, you know, where you can say, let me give this guy this, because you want to match it as best as you can, but you don't want to reach too much where you just feel like you're just adding stuff to just add stuff, you know? So if anybody has any idea in the comments, let me know what you think he should get. If he should get it. Okay, the next character on the list, Rong. Rong, who kind of gets the short end of the stick in the novelization. I think they paired him with Arrogant in the PUK. I think he has Arrogant. So we replaced Arrogant with Magnetic. This guy was the governor of Beihai. He was governor for a good little while. Magnetic, you know, he can carry more troops. It's also a nod to the fact that he was famous poet, one of the 7. Was it the 7 or the 8 geniuses? I think, you know, there was a renowned group that Rong was a part of. So that's why he has talent for poetry. Again, instead of Arrogant, we gave him Magnetic. He gets the Arrogant trait. I guess that's a nod to him fighting with Cao Cao, objecting with Cao Cao to the point where he got executed. But to me, Magnetic is a better fit. Fits better with talent for poetry, fits better with his reputation. We also adjusted his stats. So Rong set his leadership to 50, intelligence to 70, charisma to 70. Again, yes, this guy was hemmed in by the Yellow Turbans so badly that he needed aid. Tai Shi Tsi, all that in the novelization. But okay, his base stats were pretty bad. I don't have them on here. I think his leadership was like 40s or something. This is not that crazy of a jump. Just a little bit of a bump. Just a little Rong bump, you know what I mean? We also gave him +2 wit, so that if you're playing as him, you can increase your stats a little bit easier. So wit increases your experience. You could also change it through the settings now that they added it, but wit, just having the 2 blocks in wit, again, kind of a nod to this guy being part of that group of renowned geniuses. So that's Rong. Okay, the next ruler, Zhuo. Kongzu is kind of interesting. Another coalition leader that doesn't get a lot of time, but he was a guy who had a reputation for being able to spot talent. You know, he was a capable administrator who was good at getting other administrators into the system in his area. You know, that's what he was kind of known for. So we've improved his stats and reworked them basically to touch on that and to make Kongzu a ruler that, if you play as him, can kind of be a recruiter. This is the guy who can kind of go out and get people. Not to the like absurd lengths as like Liu Bei, of course, but still somebody else, another option, a more grounded, regular option of a ruler who can just kind of grab different pieces, you know, go around and has a good chance of maybe building up an army, especially if you shuffle the free officer free officer appearances, I should say. So we gave him attentive, increases trust during interactions when your intelligence is above 80. The strength depends on your culture or reputation. So your intelligence, which we already set to 80, we changed it to 80 so that he immediately gets that attentive, so he can build trust a little bit faster. Diligent, I think what that does, what does diligent do? I don't even remember. Decreases the action points of training. Okay. So he's good at, he can train a little bit. He's got a higher, it's easier for him to gain the trust of people, to potentially recruit them. We have his intelligence set to 80 to help to make sure attentive goes up. And then finally, we gave him +1 to his wit and +2 to rhetoric. So wit makes it easier for you to increase your stats, which pairs well with his trait. And then rhetoric makes him a little bit better at debating. Again, just a guy who's a little bit more of a social recruiter. Okay, so next character, Liu Bei. So the idea with Liu Bei is very simple. I just wanted to lean into the fact that this guy relies on everyone else. Okay, so we're leaning on linked support, linked damage support, extra damage from your buddies, from everybody just loving this guy so much that they fight all the more harder. And actually, for Liu Bei, I was thinking of going down the illustrious route. We could give him the illustrious trait so that he can draft without taking a hit to population. I mean, to public order. But that's up to you. Like I said, to me, we went with, to pair with great virtue, we gave him chivalrous spirit. Increases linked damage. So a second gold trait for Liu Bei. Now, we knocked down his leadership. The only stat that I changed for Liu Bei, I knocked down his leadership to 70. From 77 to 70. Liu Bei was no leader. Okay, I don't think anybody can... I don't think you could make a case that Liu Bei was ever a good leader. It should probably be even lower than this, but this is Romance of the Three Kingdoms, right? So everybody's a little bit larger than life. Liu Bei, I think, lost almost every battle that he was in. Horrible military record, okay? So, 70 leadership, chivalrous spirit, and let me see. What do I got down for this guy? We gave him +3 to the support stack down here. Increases linked effects when linking up with other units. Again, everything based around link. Liu Bei is the perfect guy for this. Brute strength, we reduced it down to 0. And I think his resolute we left alone at 2. Again, Liu Bei for some reason has brute strength set to... It says here it had it set to 1 or to 2. I don't know. But doesn't make any sense. Like I said, just Koei making sure that if you're playing as a popular character, you can do everything. And that includes dueling, even when it doesn't make sense. So, brute strength down to brute strength in Liu Bei. It's just... Anyway, resolute level 2, sure. Resolute, willpower, great. We also gave him 1 block in instigate. So Liu Bei can do a little bit of everything. Again, look, support. Boom, boom, boom. Didn't give him cure, but he already has rouse level 3, inspire level 3. Sure, I'm all for that. -1, condemning his enemies. Sure, he did that a couple of times pretty well in the novel. He taught, Liu Bei was good at like politely talking a lot of shit, right? And then support blocks at level 3 to pair with chivalrous spirit. Liu Bei is all about building up an army, a support network. So I like that playstyle for him. I actually like that playstyle also for Sun Quan. Sun Quan might be, we might have a little bit of overlap, but I like that a lot with Sun Quan. Okay, next Liu. Next Liu on this list, Liu Biao. I don't know if Liu Biao even got a second trait or not. I don't see where I wrote that down, but we gave him Capable Minister. His stats are the same. Capable Minister decreases the action point cost to improve the city's domestic affairs. That's all we're leaning into with Liu Biao in this game. We just don't have enough traits that would really address kind of like a strong builder for Liu Biao. You know, you know what he does in the novel. He just kind of sits around, governs Jing. The only time he takes any action is to protect Jing. So, Capable Minister, guidance increases the city's science. Capable Minister means that while you're out there trying to improve your city stats as Liu Biao, it'll be a little bit easier. And then for abilities, we gave Liu Biao down here +1 to his inventing, so his inventing's at 2. We gave him +2 to security. And like if you put security at level 3, that's up to you. We put fortification. He has no fortification blocks. Increases the effect of repairs. The idea of him repairing is kind of funny, but it's more like he's giving the order to repair, right? The focus to repair. So fortification, we put it up to 2. Security up to 2. Again, if you want to cap these at level 3, it's up to you. We also gave him wit. Again, makes it easier for him to work on himself. So with Liu Biao, we have a character that just, like I said, he's just focused on improving the cities domestically. You know, not the parliament phases, just domestic building up his territories. That's kind of what I gave him for a theme and a flavor. Not that much space to kind of capture the type of character that Liu Biao really is. So the last character for part 1, Liu Dai. Liu Dai, you know, one thing that is a little bit annoying is that you can't adjust relationships, starting relationships with other officers, because that would be, maybe we'll get it in an update. Go away. You're listening. Let me just put it out there. We need to be able to adjust relations in this game. Liu Dai's famous for fucking up his one assignment to try to stop Liu Bei, to try to just keep Liu Bei busy so that Cao Cao's army can catch up, okay, if I'm remembering correctly, and he screws that up. So I would love to put Liu Dai, make him antagonistic against Liu Bei. The only thing we gave him is Fluster to go with straightforward. So to pair with straightforward, we gave him Fluster. Another commander that is absolute misery, we just doubled down on it so that you have some challenge runs. Okay, now you got Han Fu, and now you got Liu Dai in this part 1 of the coalition commanders that are absolutely abysmal. So 2 of them. So, interested in anything else? So that's Liu Dai. That's it for part 1. Like I said, we'll do a part 2. Probably next week. Give me like a week and I'll kick out part 2. And then we'll do 194 Warlords. And then I don't know. I'm open to whatever you guys want to do. So you guys let me know in the comments down below. Do you want to see is there another popular start date? Is there a specific faction that you'd like to see? My plan is to do 194. Once we're done with 194, I might do some of my favorite factions, which would be the Yuans, of course. And that's pretty much it. I could do some romance, like I said, could do some romance 14 down the line. But for right now, we're going to do romance 8 PUK because that's what's new. That's what everybody's playing. So the sooner I can kick this out, the sooner I can potentially help people flesh out their characters a little bit more. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you guys on the next one. Until then, take care, everybody.